The Bangladesh Army is the land forces branch and the largest of the three uniformed service of the Bangladesh Armed Forces. The primary mission of the Army is to provide necessary forces and capabilities in support of Bangladesh's security and defense strategies, including defense of the nation's territorial integrity against external attack. Control and operations are administered by the Department of the Army of the Armed Forces Division. The civilian head is the Prime Minister, who by law also holds the Defense Ministry portfolio. In addition to its primary mission, the Bangladesh Army is also constitutionally obligated to assist the civilian government during times of national emergency. This role is commonly referred to as aid to civil administration. History. Early history. The martial tradition of Bengal has its roots during Mughal rule since the early 18th century, when three successive Muslim dynasties, namely the Naziri, Afshar and Najafi, ruled Bengal. During the colonial rule of the British, Bengal was principally a bulwark of British power and trade in the South Asian region. The British under Robert Clive defeated a 50,000-strong Bengal army of Nawab Siraj-ud-Daulah in the Polashi in 1757, and later the forces of Nawab Mir Qasim at the Battle of Buxar in 1764. The Army of Bengal was formed, which later became part of a united Indian Army from 1895 to 1947. The eastern part of the region was a prominent place for military and police recruitment, with entire horse-mounted cavalry and lancer units being recruited prior to the Bengal Sepoy Mutiny of 1857. Post-mutiny, units with the epithet Bengal in the name, such as Bengal Sappers and Bengal Cavalry, were largely recruited from non-Bengali peoples from Bihar, Varanasi and Uttar Pradesh, which were technically still part of Bengal Presidency at the time. During the Second World War, British Eastern Command created an auxiliary force who were part engineers and part infantry, named as Indian Pioneer Corps. Most of the soldiers were recruited from both West and East Bengal. This force assisted the main war effort by building roads, airfields, fortifications, and, when needed, fought the Japanese in an infantry role. These force was organized in company groups attached to various regiments of Indian Army in direct support role. An officer by the name of Captain A. Ghani was a company commander in the Burma front and led his troops in battle fearlessly to command respect of his men and superiors. After the war, these pioneer troops were concentrated in Jalna, India, awaiting to be demobilized and return home. Captain Ghani saw in the soldiers from East Bengal place he belonged the fearless fighting spirit as other regiments of Indian Army, like the soldiers of Bihar Regiment with whom they operated. He envisioned, if the Biharis could pride themselves like the races of Punjab, a northwest frontier of India, a Balucha Jat Gurkhas, a Maratha, so and so forth as martial races, why the Bengali should not be the flag bearer to pride themselves as a martial race. In 1946, Captain Ghani, the then adjutant and quartermaster of Indian Pioneer Corps Centre at Jalna, envisioned and generated the idea of forming an infantry regiment out of the pioneer soldiers from East Bengal who would be returning home demobilized. To the centre commander, the centre commander of the Corps, Lieutenant Colonel R. Moriarty, applauded the idea of Captain Ghani and encouraged to select and organize his men to form the nucleus of an infantry regiment. Before the creation of Pakistan, Captain Ghani got the approval of the then newly appointed Commander-in-Chief to Pakistan Army, General Masave II, for the East Bengal Regiment, composed solely of youths from East Bengal. would-be East Pakistan. On 17 August 1947, General Messavi, while bidding farewell to the Pioneer Corps soldiers from Bombay, the general endorsed the views of Captain Ghani, and said, "You'll prove to the world that Bengali soldiers are equally competent as other nations of the world." With these inspiring words, Captain Ghani moved to Dhaka in September 1947 with 2 pioneer companies and was temporarily located in Pilkhana, now the headquarters of Border Guards Bangladesh. He was later told by the administration to find a suitable place to accommodate the soldiers. He moved to the north of the capital and found Kermitola as the perfect place for a cantonment. Toiling day in and day out, the barracks were constructed and jungles cleared, parade ground prepared. On 15 February 1948, the flag of 1st East Bengal Regiment, the pioneer of Bangladesh Army, was raised with Captain Ghani on the lead of all the affairs, though the first commanding officer was British Lt Col V.J. Patterson. After the raising of the 1st Battalion, the 2nd Battalion was approved, but where to find the suitable soldiers from a society who were not exposed to any organized military tradition like the West Wing of the country? Here again the task was thrust upon Captain Ghani to recruit the right personnel for the regiment. Given the amenities and the conditions prevailing then, the task was Herculean. However, no task seemed to be challenging to Captain Ghani, who was die-hard to make his vision come true and show the Pakistani hierarchy that he meant every word he said. He tirelessly moved from one corner of the country to the other, convincing people to join the newly formed regiment and that they had to stand equal to the other races of West Pakistan. His tireless efforts bore fruit, and on 7 February 1949, the flag of the 2nd East Bengal was raised with the newly recruited soldiers and from personnel from 1st East Bengal. It was the dedication, initiative, drive and the insatiable will to succeed that Captain Ghani gave the solid foundation to an army which expanded on this foundation. Until the Great Liberation War of 1971, there were 8 battalions of the East Bengal Regiment, and after the war to expand even more, and now prides itself of having another infantry regiment chalked out of the East Bengal Regiment as Bangladesh Infantry Regiment. On 25 March 1971, Pakistan Armed Forces cracked down on the civilian population of East Pakistan, brutally killing hundreds of thousands of innocent civilians and uniformed personnel. As a result, in March 1971, Bengali soldiers in East Pakistan revolted and the Bangladesh Independence War started. There was a Bangladesh Army Sector Commanders Conference during 11 to 17 July 1971. The conference was held 3 months after the oath of the newly formed Bangladesh government at Mehtapur, Kusha. During this conference, the structure, information as well as resolving issues surrounding the organization of the various sectors, strategy and reinforcements of the Bangladeshi forces was determined. It was of considerable historical importance from a tactical point of view, as it determined the command structure of the Bangladeshi forces throughout Bangladesh Liberation War that was fought between Bangladesh and West Pakistan in 1971. This conference was presided over by the Bangladesh interim government in exile, headed by then Prime Minister Tajuddin Ahmed and Colonel M.A.G. Osmani. M.A.G. Osmani was reinstated into active duty and promoted to general as the commander-in-chief of the Bangladesh forces. Principal participants of this conference included Squadron Leader M. Hamidullah Khan, Major Ziaur Rahman, Major Abdul Jalil, Captain A.T.M. Haider, Lt. Col. M. Araban, Major Khalid Musharraf, As a result of this meeting, Bangladesh was divided into 11 sectors. These sectors were placed under the control of sector commanders, who would direct the guerrilla war against Pakistani occupation forces. For better efficiency in military operations, each of the sectors were also divided into a number of subsectors. As a point of note, the 10th sector was under direct command of the Commander-in-Chief and included the Naval Commando Unit as a C&C Special Force. Following the conference, a period of prolonged guerrilla warfare was launched by Bangladesh forces, which continued for a number of months. A further restructuring was undertaken, and the Bangladesh forces were organized into 3 brigade-size combat groups. K Force, under Major Khalid Musharraf, was created with 4th, 9th and 10th East Bengal Regiment. S Force, under Major K.M. Shafiullah, was created with 2nd and 11th East Bengal Regiment. Z Force, under Major Ziaur Rahman, was created with 1st, 3rd and 8th East Bengal Regiment. Post-1971, the emergence of the Bangladesh Army. Bangladesh Army has expanded considerably, albeit erratically, since its formation on the 21st of November 1971. During the sensitive and formative years after the end of the war, personnel of the Mukti Bahini were absorbed into different branches of Bangladesh Army. Sheikh Mujib's Awami League government created disenchantment among army personnel when his party formed and operated state-funded separate militia groups around the nation run locally by his party men at the command of his son Sheikh Kamal. These policies and actions laid the foundation and formed the bedrock of disputes between professional army officers and the ruling administration. Coups, uprisings and assassinations. The year 1975 was a turning point year in the history of Bangladesh as a nation. On the 15th of August 1975, few disgruntled members of the Bangladesh Armed Forces have been involved in 2 assassinations and coups, albeit without the knowledge or participation of the entire Bangladesh Armed Forces. In 1975, a few sacked, disgruntled junior officers and NCOs secretly planned and assassinated the entire immediate family of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman at his personal residence in Dantmundi, Dhaka, except for his 2 daughters who were abroad. Some of those responsible officers were finally brought to justice in January 2010. Some are still at large. A new government led by Kandka Mushtaq Ahmed and almost the entire cabinet of Sheikh Mujib's government was set in place. 3 months later, on the 3rd of November 1975, several senior officers and NCOs led by Maj. Gen. Khalid Musharraf and Colonel Shafat Jamil led their own forces to entangle another internal conspiracy and removed Kandka Mushtaq's government from power, whom they believed was an unlawful government in the first place. The same day, the same group of disgruntled army personnel who assassinated Sheikh Mujib and his family took action that resulted in the assassination and jailing of several senior army officers and noted civilians who were involved in the nation's war of independence. Those jailed and later assassinated inside the jail premises were Saeed Nazrul Islam, Tajuddin Ahmed, Muhammad Mansur Ali Anam Kamarazaman. Chief of Army Staff Major General Ziaur Rahman was placed under house arrest. On the 7th of November 1975, a short but highly organized uprising concentrated only in Dhaka, formed by members of the Judeo Samaj Tantrik Dal and members of lower-ranking army personnel led by Lt. Col. Abu Taher, also resulted in the killing of several Army and Air Force officers and men, including Major General Khalid Musharraf, Major A.T.M. Hyder, to name just a few. Colonel Shafat Jamil was arrested and forcibly retired. Major General Ziaur Rahman was released and took the opportunity to bring order and discipline in the country as well as in the armed forces under temporary martial law. Zia took promotion to lieutenant general and was appointed Chief of Army Staff and Deputy Chief Martial Law Administrator. Later, in 1977, under a public referendum of a yes-no vote, he took the helm as president. On the 30th of May 1981, President Zia Rahman was assassinated in the Chittagong Circuit House in a military coup. Less than a year later, the then Chief of Army Staff Lt. Gen. Hussain Muhammad Ershad in 1982 March 24 took power in a silent coup at dawn, suspended the constitution and imposed martial law and remained in power through farce elections and corruption. He remained in power until the 6th of December 1990. Subsequent growth following the 1975 coup. Additional personnel were absorbed into the regular army when the martial law government abolished the Jadi Iraqi Bahini. Under Zia's rule, Bangladesh was divided into 5 military regions. When Ershad assumed power in 1982, army strength had stabilized at about 70,000 troops. Starting in 1985, the army had experienced another spurt in growth. As of mid-1988, it had about 90,000 troops, triple the 1975 figure. The Bangladesh army structure is similar to the armies of the Commonwealth nations. However, major changes have taken place following the adoption of U.S. Army tactical planning procedures, training management techniques and non-commissioned officer educational systems. In times of war and national emergency, the Bangladesh Army can also be reinforced by the Border Guard Bangladesh, Bangladesh Ansars, village defense parties, Bangladesh National Cadet Corps and other paramilitary organizations. Bangladesh Army has specialized its peacekeeping operation capabilities around the world through participation in numerous peacekeeping and nation-building operations. It has created BIPSOT, which specializes in the training of peacekeepers for employment in all types of UNPSO. This institute fulfills the requirement of UNDPKO's UN General Assembly resolution, which outlines the necessity and responsibility of every nation to train their armed forces before any deployment. The U.S. military has taken a keen interest and currently participating in this area. Chittagong Hill Tracts conflict. The Chittagong Hill Tracts conflict was the political conflict and armed struggle between the government of Bangladesh by the Parbhatu Chattogram Janus Angarti Samiti and its armed wing, the Shanti Bahini, over the issue of autonomy and the rights of the tribes of the Chittagong Hill Tracts. The Shanti Bahini launched an insurgency against government forces in 1977, and the conflict continued for 20 years until the government and the PCJSS signed the Chittagong Hill Tracts Peace Accord in 1997. At the outbreak of the insurgency, the government of Bangladesh deployed the army to begin counter-insurgency operations. The then President of Bangladesh, Major General Zia Rahman, created a Chittagong Hill Tracts Development Board under an army general to address the socio-economic needs of the region, but the entity proved unpopular and became a source of antagonism and mistrust among the local tribes against the government. The government failed to address the long-standing issue of the displacement of tribal people, numbering an estimated 100,000, caused by the construction of the Kapte Dam by the then Pakistan government in 1962. Displaced tribesmen did not receive compensation and more than 40,000 Chakma tribals had fled to India. In the 1980s, the government began settling Bengalis in the region, causing the eviction of many tribes and a significant alteration of demographics. Having constituted only 11.6% of the regional population in 1974, the number of Bengalis grew by 1991 to constitute 48.5% of the regional population. In 1989, the government of then-President President Hussain Mohammad Ershad passed the District Council Act, creating 3 tiers of local government councils to devolve powers and responsibilities to the representatives of the tribes in CHT, but the councils were rejected and opposed by contribution to UN peacekeeping operations. The Bangladesh Army has been actively involved in a number of United Nations peace support operations since its formation in the 1970s. Its first deployments came in 1988, when it participated in 2 operations, UNIIMOG in Iraq and UNTAG in Namibia. President H.M. Ershad initiated these deployments for the first time, starting with the contribution to UNIIMOG in Iraq. Later, as part of the UNIKOM force deployed to Kuwait and Saudi Arabia following the Gulf War, the Bangladesh Army sent a mechanized infantry battalion. Since then, the Bangladesh Army has been involved in up to 30 different UN PKOs in as many as 25 countries. This has included activities in Angola, Namibia, Cambodia, Somalia, Sudan, Eritrea, Uganda, Rwanda, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Mozambique, former Yugoslavia, Liberia, Haiti, Tajikistan, Western Sahara, Sierra Leone, Kosovo, Georgia, East Timor, Congo, Côte d'Ivoire and Ethiopia. As a result of its contributions to various UN peacekeeping operations, up to 88 Bangladesh soldiers have lost their lives. However, the performance of Bangladesh's contingents has been described as being of the highest order, and the appointment of several senior Bangladesh military officers as the commander of UN peacekeeping missions and senior military liaison officers may be seen as further recognition of the Bangladesh Army's growing esteem in the peacekeeping community. In January 2004, BBC described the Bangladeshi UN force as cream of UN peacekeepers. Bangladesh Armed Forces participated in the Gulf War in 1991 Operation Desert Storm alongside other multinational forces under Allied command. The Bangladesh Army brought in a contingent of engineers and undertook the task of clearing mines and bombs in Kuwait. This assistance took place under the operational code name Operation Kuwait Punagathan, in English Operation Rebuilding Kuwait. List of Chiefs of Army Staff. Organization. Structure. See List of formations of the Bangladesh Army. Bangladesh Army is divided into the following administrative corps. Administrative branches. Rank structure. Commissioned Officer, Junior Commissioned Officer, JCO. JCOs are not officers, they're enlisted personnel. Non-commissioned officer and ordinary soldiers. Women are being recruited as ordinary soldiers since 2013. The first recruit batch of female soldiers completed the training on the 29th of January, 2015. NCO rank starts from Lance Corporal. List of cantonments. Cantonments are where Bangladesh Army personnel work, train, and live. Educational and training institutes. Under Army Training and Doctrine Command, Bangladesh Army International University of Science and AMP Technology. Main MRT Cantonment, Kamila. Bangladesh Military Academy, Baishri, Chittagong. School of Infantry and Tactics, Jalalabad Cantonment, Sylhet. Defense Services Command and Staff College, Mirpur Cantonment, Dhaka. National Defense College, Mirpur Cantonment, Dhaka. Military Institute of Science and Technology, Mirpur Cantonment, Dhaka. Armored Corps Center and AMP School, Majira Cantonment, Burgra. Engineer Center and School of Military Engineering, Hyderabad Cantonment. Signal Training Center and School, Jessore Cantonment, Jessore. Army Service Corps Center and AMP School, Jahanabad Cantonment, Khulna. Army Medical Corps Center and AMP School, Shahid Salafuddin Cantonment, Gatail, Tangal. Ordnance Center and AMP School, Rajendrapur Cantonment, Ghazipur. Bangladesh Institute of Peace Support Operation Training, Rajendrapur Cantonment, Ghazipur. Saidpur, Electrical and Mechanical Engineering Center and School, Saidpur Cantonment, Nilphamari, Center and School of Military Police, Education and Administration, Shahid Salafuddin Cantonment, Ghatail, Tangail, Army School of Physical Training and Sports, Dhaka Cantonment, Dhaka. Army School of Music, Chittagong Cantonment, Chittagong, Armed Forces Medical College, Dhaka Cantonment, Dhaka. Artillery Center and School, Hala Shahar, Chittagong, School of Military Intelligence, Kamilla Cantonment, Kamilla. East Bengal Regimental Center, Chittagong Cantonment, Chittagong. Bangladesh Infantry Regimental Center, Rajshahi Cantonment, Rajshahi. Non-Commissioned Officers Academy, Majora Cantonment, Bogra. Bangladesh University of Professionals, Mirpur Cantonment, Dhaka. Bangladesh Army University of Science and Technology, Saidpur Cantonment, Nilphamari. Bangladesh National Cadet Corps, Dhaka Cantonment, Dhaka. Equipment. Future Modernization Plan. Bangladesh has made a long-term modernization plan for its armed forces named Forces Goal 2030. As per the plan, Bangladesh Army will be divided into two separate commands, Eastern Command and Western Command. The number of division will be increased from 7 to 10. Already, 2 new divisions have been formed, 17th Infantry Division at Sylhet and 10th Infantry Division at Ramu in Cox's Bazar. Required supporting units are being added. Government is considering to set up another infantry division in the southern bank of Padma River. Many new cantonments are established and being established. The process of upgradation of 174 Type 59 tanks is underway. Government is actively considering the formation of 2 new tank regiments. Army has signed for 330 BTR-82 AIFV and 10 armored recovery vehicle under $1 billion arms deal with Russia, whose delivery will start from the end of 2016. Besides, Laser BVT MRAP vehicle has been ordered from Serbia, which will be delivered in 2015. 1 battery of WS-22 guided multiple rocket launcher system consisting of 6 launcher vehicle has been already to Army in 2014. 2 more batteries of the system will be procured within 2015 to form a full MLRS regiment. Bangladesh has also bought the technology of the system to start assembling at BMTF. For improving air defense capabilities, 2 regiments of FM-90 surface-to-air missile will be added by 2016 from China. 6 Mi-171 helicopters has been procured for Army aviation from Russia under $1 billion arms deal, will be delivered from 2016. Bangladesh Army has started an ambitious modernization program for its infantry soldiers. This future soldier system includes equipping all of its soldiers with ultra-modern equipment like night vision goggles, ballistic helmet, protective eye gear, Kevlar bulletproof vest, hand-to-hand communicator, palm-top GPS device and modern homemade BD-08 Mk2 assault rifle with ACOG sight. BOF is making BD-08 and BD-08 Mk assault rifle and light machine gun and BD-14 heavy machine gun. The factory has the capability of producing annual 14,000 rifles with 600,000 grenades and 400,000 cartridges. Bangladesh is also producing different types of artillery shells domestically. Bangladesh Machine Tools Factory is assembling utility trucks for Army called Aruni Mobalion. In 2015, BOF successfully tested 60mm and 82mm mortars and mortar shells, a missile assembling plant, explosives testing lab, bulletproof jacket production plant and APC manufacturing plant is being established for further development of defense industry. Soon, the assembling of FN-16 MA and PAD will start at Bangladesh under TOT from China.